And that's why Mike would say, don't grow a team. But I don't buy into that anymore. Like, I think it's funny because we kind of got into a little battle about it. But I was like, Mike, you grew a team. You grew a
Exactly.
team of coaches, like you have lots of leverage. You're not coaching 4,000 people. So it's the same game, right? It's the leverage game, but you're going now into coaching, training. You're running an office. That's what a team is. I call it a teamridge. We're a brokerage, but we're a team. So we're a teamridge. We function as a brokerage, but we have splits like and value like a team.
So if I was to ask her, hey, when you guys were first starting, what was one of the biggest challenges for growing the way that it was? What do you think her answer would be?
Looking back at our challenges, it was probably like, how do we motivate these people? How do we, are we militant? Do we make them like come in every day and prospect, or do we let them sort of do their own thing on social media? We were trying to find a happy balance. And what we realized is the more pressure we put on them, they hated it. But if we didn't put enough on them, they failed. So it was like we needed that in the middle. So we made them come in 3 days a week where they prospected. If they hit their numbers, like if an agent's hitting 5 units a quarter, they don't need to come in. We're not going to micromanage you. We're like, come and go as you please. We don't care. Just hit your minimum standard. If you want to coach, our current sales manager meets with them once a month, which I think we're going to up even more, like maybe once every 2 weeks. But, she stays on them. And other than that, they can come and go as they please. So, but if you're a brand new agent now, you come into our world, you're going to be 90 days. You're going to be on those phones. You have to come in every day. You have to role play with the team. There's about 25 of them that are there every morning, and they have a great culture. I mean, they push each other, and that's the culture that we are. Like that was the foundation of my business. It's not the only way that you can do it, but it's got to be the foundation. Smile, dial, make a pile. Then I'll groom you to be SOI if you hate the phones, or we'll groom you to do more social media, but just build your foundation, and then we'll groom you based on what your personality, based on the DISC, is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think that was what initially wanted us to connect. The 90 days for brand new agents.
Right, for the onboarding.
KIRO just wanted to know the secret sauce for the 90 days. No, I think you had posted something on social, or maybe it was a connection through Colton, and we had asked him, what do the first few months look like for a new agent on your team? And he said, I think someone who does it really, really well is Tina. First 90 days, what's that look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly that. I mean, they're in every day, they're doing script and role play. They're learning their listing presentation. So even though we don't allow them to list right away, they're learning their listing presentation. I mean, we're motivating them to learn scripts. I always tell them, you're getting an acting job. Don't think this is real estate, this is acting. And I want you to know your lines. So that way, when they get out there in the field, they're not feeling like, what do I say? Or they're worried about what to say. So that's it. I mean, we go through time management, prospecting, lead follow-up, pre-qualifying, pricing property, handling objections. I mean, the basic stuff. They have to, if they're brand new, they have to learn obviously how to do even more with the filling in contracts and doing all those things. But to me, it's like, if you don't learn what to say, you're not going to want the appointment. You're not going to want to meet the buyer. So why am I going to put you in a situation where you're going to mess it up anyway if you're not comfortable on what to say? So lots of script and role play.
I love Tina. This is crazy because, so what you said is interesting in the terms of coming from an MFO background. By the way, everything you said in the 90-day process is from that transcript, right? Yeah. Scripts, like dialogue, time management, all that is in the Mike Ferry system that you're teaching them. Right. But coming from a Mike Ferry background and starting a team and having the thought process of, do we have a militant way with these agents? Do we have a flexibility way? John and I, we were very MFO, we used to bleed MFO almost, where it's like, if you were Tom Ferry, we wouldn't talk to you. Right. And the thought process behind it is like, if we did it and it worked for us, you have to do it 5 days a week, XYZ. And then the more pressure you apply, like, why aren't you making your calls? Why aren't you making your contacts? You do feel like they push back, and then they get distanced, even though they believe that you're right, but they don't like someone telling them what to do, because I'm assuming they got into the industry to be their own boss, right?
Exactly. There's a book called Coaching Salespeople into Sales Champions. It's by Keith Rosen. It is by far one of the best coaching books I've ever read. How to get people to move. Because here's the thing. The three of us are probably high D personalities. I know I am off the charts. It's like, just be direct with me. Even though it's funny, I'm a D SI. So I'm S too, but in business, I'm a D. It's like, I want results. I want them yesterday. I'll run through brick walls and I just got to get that result. And that's why I liked expireds. But I think that, when you learn how to ask our people questions, they have to self-discover why they're afraid of whatever they're afraid of or why they're resistant. And I used to come at them. That's why I didn't want to be the sales trainer in the beginning, because I was like, just do it. Just pick up the phone, smile, dial. Here's the script. Like, come on, what are you afraid of? That's just not the right approach. So it's really getting into their head and their motivation, asking amazing questions. That book is full of amazing questions to get your people, to feel like it's their decision to do it, not that you just want them to do it. And especially when you really know the personality styles, because I've studied them even more, some people want to be unique and different. So if you're telling them, this is how you have to do it. Mike only taught us DISC, D-I-S-C. He taught us a very basic, you're high D, you're high I, or high S. When you look at the values index and and that's where Tony Robbins comes in, you really start understanding DISC. I need to know if this person is a high altruistic or high economic or high political or high individualistic, because if they want to be unique and different and you're telling them they can only do it this way, they're going, no way, John KIRO, there's other ways to do it. I'm unique. I'm going to do it this way. And then they're pushing you away. So the more I study human nature and how people move and ebb and flow, it's like, oh, I can move this person to do what we need for them, for their own good, but I got to use different language. So I'm just talking to a different client right now, not a seller, not a buyer. Like I was trained, sign the contract, please. I'm now talking to a human that I got to move into motivation, and it's going to be a little different.
Yeah. The agents that are joining your team, are they experienced agents? Are they brand new agents? Do you have a preference? Do you think certain people are sort of fall into place a little bit quicker?
Yeah, we have all types, really. We just had a lady that joined us 7 years in the business. She was sold 15 homes very consistently, 7 years seasoned. And she's like, I just know there's more. I want to be pushed. I want this community. I want this vibe. So they're very much, like we always say, we're a self-development company that happens to sell real estate. Like we want people's mindset strong and, to let go of their baggage, to think bigger, to basically like a mini Mike Ferry retreat. You know how we left those retreats and you're so inspired. We want it to feel that way. So we get some seasoned agents, we're getting more now. We get brand new agents and then anything in between. So, and we don't really recruit agents from a calling them perspective. They just see our social media and they come, they call us, which is awesome.
Do you only hire women?
No, we have
just
lots
kidding.
of them.
I think based on your Instagram, there's a lot of pictures with just a lot of
ladies.
Women. Yes.
Yeah. No, we have men on our team now.
That's good. That's good that you're
led team, but we allowed men in.
That's sweet of you.
I know.
So Tina, you said you like to view yourselves as a self-development company that happens to sell real estate.
Yeah.
And when you run an organization that carries that kind of thought process, the leader has to be that times 10. What are you doing in the area of your self-development to constantly stay ahead of it so that way you're leading the pack in that direction?
I think I always said I would want to be a therapist if I wasn't a realtor. Like even before, my mother actually watched special needs children growing up. And so we had social workers in our house all the time. And I always thought, God, what a cool job. Like social work, helping kids, a therapist for whatever reason was just on my list. So when I think about this now, like professional development to me has always been a thing I've loved to research. So I have a coach for myself as he's a sales coach and helps our team as well with the prospecting. That used to be Mike Ferry as well. I also have a coach that helps us with communications coach. So it's a DISC assessment coach, strengths and weakness coach. And then I also have a coach that is a business coach that helps us with run our entrepreneurial operating system. So I knew that what got me here couldn't get me there. And so as I differentiate the three parts of the business, if I want to build a Fortune 500 company, I'm not the one that has the business acumen to get us there. So now I hire these three people so we have a well-rounded vision in case I'm not seeing something, they can chime in and go, you're missing this. Oh yeah, you're right. So we're just always trying to develop myself, even more higher level than just, scripts and dialogue, if you will.
That's great.
Yeah. I can see that like perfectly as you're saying. It's like you have a salesperson for production for the agents, so that way you could know what you're teaching the agents as well and what they're learning as well. So you're on top of your game. Communication coach, so that way you can help communicate those lessons, the leadership questions that you need to be able to confrontation, right? So that way you can keep the retention there with the agents too. It's a different kind of client, and then business to make sure that you're profitable.
Exactly. Yeah, profitability is a good thing.
One thing that I would definitely give you credit for throughout this conversation today is that you really know your numbers. You know, even down to, you know, knowing that you make $2,200 off of one transaction. What was it that caused you to get so buttoned up on your numbers?
You know, I think it's, for me, it's like if I do something, I always thought, well, what's the return? If I spend this much time on the phone, what's the return? So I think it was sort of that Mike Ferry training. It's like, how many calls I needed? I knew I needed to make 15. I had to have 15 conversations to get an expired. That was it. So if I made 15 contacts, I would get a listing. And so knowing that and always having my numbers analyzer up, you know, my disc coach used to say, because Mike would say, you're not an analytical, you're a high D. And my coach would say, my new coach that says people don't know DISC. In fact, he hates DISC. He likes the values index. But he said, actually, you're very analytical. You just analyze things in your head very quickly and you don't need the process. You see the process, where an analytical says, I don't see the process. Can you put it down on paper? So a lot of times we are all very analytical. We just analyze things faster and we're annoyed because people are slower. We're like, come on, don't you see it? So I think that's it for me. It's like, I'm just constantly, you know, just trying to analyze the numbers, make sure they make sense. If I spend this kind of money here, I've never been so over analytical where I have 52 spreadsheets, but I need to know that net. So I know that I'm actually growing and there's profit there. And yeah, so I've just always been focused. If you track it, and it's simple numbers, it's simple math, you know, you'll be happier knowing that you're not just spending unwisely.
Yeah. I think it becomes even more important when you grow the team, right? Because
yes, oh my gosh, yes.
There's a lot more profit margin when you're a high producing individual agent, right? With one or two TCs, like you said before. And the results are your sole responsibility.
Right.
And now all of a sudden you're training people to close the transactions, and the numbers become a lot more thin.
Yeah, and you got salaries, and that's why Mike would say, don't grow a team, but I don't buy into that anymore. Like, I think, you know, and I said this, it's funny because we kind of got into a little battle about it, but I was like, Mike, you grew a team. You grew a team of coaches, you know, like you have lots of leverage. You're not coaching 4,000 people. So, so it's the same game, right? It's the leverage game, but you're going now into coaching, training, you're running an office. That's what a team is. I call it a teamridge. We're a brokerage, but we're a team. So we're a teamridge. We function as a brokerage, but we have splits like and value like a team.
Right. And by the way, Mike's ISAs call me all the time.
Yeah,
inviting me to the next event and the next.
You mean it's not Mike doing all the calls for 2 hours a day every morning?
That's so strange how that works, right?
Amazing.
Yeah, and they're well scripted.
I know.
Usually, I buy what they're selling me.
They're very optimistic.
Weird.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think, you know, in Mike's defense, if he broadcasts that picture that you can grow the team, or that you can, you know, buy Zillow leads and still be profitable. That the average person who's in that room would do it and do it incorrectly.
And they'll do it. Yes. It ruins his model, right? Because if you get everybody off the phones and now you're buying leads, now you're not doing the work, right? The work is the 2 hours a day, So it is an absolute must foundational piece, but it's not a piece for scalability. It's a great foundation.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And I've said this before too on this platform, is just that, you know, I feel like Mike, I'm forever grateful because he brought me from 25 to 50 deals to 75 deals to 100 deals. But at the end of the day, I would look up and I'd say I'm a highly paid technician, right? And if I were to go out of town for a week, there's no new business coming in, right?
Exactly.
Then you don't own a business, right?
Right.
If you own a storefront business and you're going on vacation, you want the business to still be open. But in my case, the doors were locked, right?
That's right. That's right.
Which is not a business. So.
No. And that's that, what is it? The Rob Kiyosaki, right? Employee, self-employed.
Quadrant.
Business owner, and then the investor. And now that's how I look at the team. I'm the investor at the top going, how much am I going to invest in my operation? This is my, you know, I'm an operator. And so And now I just look for ways to make different streams of income. I don't want to exchange my time for money belly to belly anymore. I want to help and develop people. And the biggest thing you said is people open teams, they're not profitable. But the problem is they're not profitable. They don't bring enough agents in, but they're terrible leaders. A lot of us don't need to be the ones that are with the agents because we're too impatient and we're not the right ones to lead them. And so when we understand that our personality style probably isn't the best to be in the front of the room being the sales coach, that's a better epiphany too. Like, ooh, I probably shouldn't be here. I'm going to turn off a lot of people. I mean, look at Mike. Could you imagine Mike coaching every day? He's not going to be for everyone. He'd run everybody out the door, you know?
Well, sometimes I read those scripts again and I'm like, these are very, very driver scripts.
They are so driver.
One of three things will happen.
Right. You either do this, or this, which I love.
Yeah.
That correct.
Yeah.
That's
That's certainly insightful.
Yeah.